Hi everyone! Welcome to the 4th grade math channel of Sun Devil Learning Labs. My name is Ms. Houston and today we're going to be talking all about multiplication. And today specifically we're going to work on two methods of multiplication. We're going to use our place value method and we're also going to use the partial products method. And we're going to go over how both of those methods can be done to solve a multiplication question. So here's our objective for today. Our objective is, I can use the place value mat alongside the partial products method to solve multiplication problems of up to 4-digit by 1-digit numbers. So what does this mean? What this means is we're going to practice multiplication, but we're going to do it up to 4 digits by 1 digit. So we're going to do a number such as 10 times 2, then 100 times 2, then 1,000 times 2. See how 1,000 is 4 digits? That's what I mean when I say we're going to do up to 4 digits by 1 digit. The materials that we're going to use today are a piece of paper, a pencil, and an eraser. So let's move on with our lesson. Here's our first question. Multiply a 2-digit by a 1-digit number. So as you can see, 32 is a 2-digit number, and 2 is our 1-digit number. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab my annotate bar, and we are going to first fill this in using the place value mat method. So what you guys can do is you can go ahead and draw a place value mat on your piece of paper, and you're going to fill this in with me. So I'm going to take my stamp tool, and we're just going to represent our numbers using X's today. So what we need to do, our first step is to represent the number 32 in our place value mat because we're starting with this number, right? So I'm going to put 3 X's in my tens place and 2 ones in my ones place. Let's see. Well, now that we have the number 32 represented, what else do we have to do? Well, if we look at this, we know that 32 times 2 is essentially the same thing as saying we have 2 groups of 32, right? So I'm going to take a different colored stamp, that way you guys can see. And I'm going to write 32 one more time. So I'm going to put 3 more shapes in the tens and then 2 more in the ones. Because if it's 32 times 2, we are having 2 groupings of 32. Now let's see. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to grab my pencil tool and we're going to write out how many we have in each column. So if we count up our tens column, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 shapes in our tens column, so I'm going to write a 6 here. And then what about our ones column? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. So we have 4 in our ones column, which means that our answer, 32 times 2, is going to equal 64. Now let's try this again using the partial products method right here. So we have 32 times 2. What we're going to do is we're going to do it just like we did in the place value mat method. So I'm going to grab my text box. My pencil first, actually. So what we're going to do is we're just going to multiply 2 times 2. Now what's 2 times 2? 4, right? So I'm going to write a 4 directly below it, just like that. Now our next question is, I'm going to erase what I just circled, the 2 times 2, and I'm going to draw a different circle. Next up, we need to do 3 times 2, right? But this isn't really a 3. This is saying that this 3 here is in the tens place. So essentially, this is 30 times 2, right? Because it's in the tens place. This was a 2 in the ones, so that's why it just stayed as a 1. This here is 30 times 2. Now what's 30 times 2? 60, right? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to write a 60 below my 4. So we're going to type 60. And we're going to do it just like that. I'm going to move it over. That way it's directly below. Oops, hang on, we got to go back to our problem here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my text box, we're going to select it, and we're just going to move this a little over here. Perfect. Now that we have done all of our multiplication, what is our next step? Our next step is to add these two numbers together. Because if we did 2 times 2 is 2, and then 30 times 2 is 60, well, we got to add those numbers together in order to get the answer of 32 times 2, right? So if we do 60 plus 40, what's our answer? 64, right? So I'm going to use my text box, and we are going to type 64 below this. Now, I would like you guys to look at both of our answers here. Over here, we have the answer 64, and over here, we have the answer of 64 too, right? Perfect. So that means that we did both of our methods correctly. Using our place value mat method, we drew shapes in the place values, the tens and the ones column, and then we added those up. Using the partial products method, we worked in our ones column and also our tens column, and we multiplied them separately and then added them up together. So very similar methods, but a little bit different the way that we represent them, right? Okay, let's try another example now. For this example, I would like you guys to try it. This is your turn. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill out the place value method, and then you're also going to do the partial products method. Your goal is to get the same answer for both of these methods because both methods work and they're supposed to give us the same answer for our question. So I'd like you guys to do is once you're done doing this on your own, you can unpause the video and we'll go over the answer together. So go ahead and pause the video now. Awesome job, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. You did an amazing job practicing this on your own. So let's do it together now. I'm going to grab my stamp tool and let's represent the number 21. So we have 2 10s and then 1 in the ones column, right? Now, if we look at our equation, 21 times 3. This is saying we have 3 sets of 21, right? So I'm going to draw 21 3 different times here. So I'm going to put 2 more 10s, another 1, and then 2 more 10s, and another 1. Perfect. Now what we can do is we can add it up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 in our 10s column, and we have 1, 2, 3, 3 in our 1s column. So our answer using the place value method is 63. Now let's determine our answer for the partial products method. So step 1, we're going to multiply the numbers in our ones place here. So 3 times 1. What's 3 times 1? 3. So we're going to put a 3 there. Next step is to multiply the tens column by our multiplication number, which is 3 here. So we have 20 times 3 essentially, right? Because we're not looking at the 1 in the 21. We're just looking at the 20 times 3. So 20 times 3 is 60. So I'm going to write 60 below here. I'm going to type 60. Perfect. Now what's our next step? Our next step is to add these numbers together, right? So we're going to draw our little equation, 3 plus 60. What's 3 plus 60? 3 plus 60 is 63. Do you guys see a resemblance? 63, 63. So our answer for 21 times 3 is going to be 63. Wonderful job, guys. Give me a high five. Now let's move on to our next question. In our next one, we are going to be multiplying a 3-digit number by a 1-digit number. Now, this number might look bigger, it might look a little bit scarier, but I promise you it's the exact same method that we're going to do and the same process. So let's start out by representing the 124 in our place value mat. So we have 1 in the hundreds place, we have 2 in the tens place, and we have 4 in the ones place. Just like that. Okay, now that we've done this, what's our second step? Our next step is to multiply this by 2, right? Because we have 2 sets of 124. So I'm going to draw 124 in my place value mat one more time. So we're going to put 1 in the hundreds, 2 in the tens, and 4 in our ones place. Wonderful. Now that we've done that, we can add, right? So we're going to use our pencil. How many shapes do we have in the hundreds? 2. How many in the tens? 4. And how many in the ones? 8. So using our place value method, our answer is 248. Now let's try it with our partial products method. Okay, step number 1 is to multiply 4 times 2. What's 4 times 2? 8, right? So I'm going to draw an 8 here. Next step is to multiply, oops, wrong button. We are now going to multiply, sorry guys. Okay. We're now going to multiply 2 times 20. So I'm going to draw it out for you. That way you guys can kind of see where I'm looking. We have 2 times 20 here. So what's 2 times 20? 40. So I'm going to use my text box. I'm going to write a 40 below the 8 here. And then here's our next question. Now this one's where it gets a little different. So I'm going to erase my markings before so that way you guys can see what I'm doing. So what we're going to do is we're doing this 1 multiplied this 2. But it's not just 1 times 2, right? We are essentially saying 1 in the hundreds place multiplied by 2. So if we have 1 in the hundreds place, that's 100. So what's 100 times 2? 200. So I'm going to type in 200 below down here also. Now here is our last step. Our last step is to add. So I'm going to add my addition sign and my little bar. So let's add this up now. 8, 4, and 2, because we got to bring all the numbers down, like 8 plus 0 plus 0, 4 plus 0, and then 2. Bring it down. So our answer is 248. And our answer over here is also 248. Perfect. So if we are answering the question, 124 times 2, our answer is going to be 248. Okay, let's try a 4-digit number now. This one, I would like you guys to practice on your own. You're going to multiply 1,324 by 2. Now I'm going to give you some hints on this. Even though this is a 4-digit number, and once again, it looks a little bit bigger than the other one, it's not scarier or it's not different, I promise you. So it's going to be the same thing that we've been doing, the same process, where you multiply it by 2, and then you carry it, where you multiply it by 2, and you represent it twice over here, and then you multiply each of these digits over here by 2, and you write them down. So go ahead and pause the video to work on this. Awesome job, guys. Once again, give yourselves a round of applause. Let's go over the answer together. So we're going to use my stamp tool. We're going to represent 1,324 in our place value mat. Now we need to do this a second time, right? Because we're multiplying this by 2. So I'm going to also do 1,324, just like that. Now let's add all the shapes up in each of our columns. I'm going to get my pencil out. We have 2 in our thousands column. We have 6 in our hundreds column. We have 4 in our tens column. And then we have 8 in our ones column. And we need a comma here, right? Because we have 3 digits, and counting 3 digits from the right, since there's a 4th digit there, we do need to include that comma. So our answer is going to be 2,648, as seen in the place value mat method. Now let's try the partial products method. So what we're going to do for our first one is 4 times 2. What's 4 times 2? 8. So we're going to type in 8. Then we're going to move it over. We want our numbers to be as vertically aligned as possible. That way it makes it easier for us to tell where all of our numbers came from, and we can look back at them later. So here's our next one. What's 2 times 20? And I'm going to draw the line so you guys can see it. 2 times 20 here. 2 times 20 is 40. So we're going to type 40. And then here's our next one. We have 3 times 2. That's not really a 3, right? That is in our hundreds place. So this is essentially saying 300 times 2. What's 300 times 2? 600. So we're going to type 600. And then we're going to also move it over a bit so that way it's more aligned. And then here's our last one. Now this one's a little different because we haven't done 4 digits yet. 1 times 2. So this 1 is in our thousands place. So it's saying 1,000 times 2. What's 1,000 times 2? 2,000. So we're going to write 2,000, just like that. Now that we've done this, we can do some addition. I'm going to put our addition sign and our bar. So what's 40 plus 8? 48. What's 600 plus 48? 648. 2,000 plus 648? It's going to be 2,648. Awesome. And look, we've double checked this now too, right? We know that our answer is 2,648 using the partial products method, and we also know it's 2,648 using the place value mat method. Awesome job, guys. I'm really proud of you for practicing this on your own, and you guys are really getting the hang of this. So let's try something a little bit different now. Next up, we're going to practice only the partial products method. We're not going to use the place value mat method unless you guys need it to double check your work, or you still want to practice it just before you move on to doing only the partial products, if you need a little bit more practice with that previous section that we were doing. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use partial products to solve this question here. 231 times 3. So here's our first step. What's 1 times 3? 1 times 3 is 3. And you guys can do this with me. Next step, what is 3 times 3? But this isn't a 3, right? This is a 3 in our tens place. So we're essentially saying, what is 30 times 3? 30 times 3 is 90. And then for our last one, we have our 200 times 3, because 2 is in the hundreds place. So what's 200 times 3? 600. Wonderful. Let's add this up now. So we have 3 plus 90 plus 600, which gives us our final answer of 693. Awesome job, guys. So look at you. You just solved this problem using only the partial products method. And if we solved this using the place value method, also, we would get the same answer because both methods, when used to multiply, they're going to give us the same answer because both of them work. Awesome. Now let's apply this to something that kind of relates to real life. We are going to apply this to a word problem. So here's our problem. Sherry has $35 in her piggy bank. She needs 4 times this amount in order to buy the bike that she wants. Ooh, so Sherry's going to buy a bike. That's going to be super fun, right? How much money does the bike cost? So here's our question. We want to figure out. She has $35 already in her piggy bank, right? So she has 35. She needs 4 times this amount. So we're essentially doing 35 multiplied by 4. So we're going to do 35 times 4. Just like that. And then we're going to draw our line. So what's 35 times 4? We can use our partial products method, right? Because place value method, it takes a little bit longer. But partial products, we're going to solve it just directly down, and it'll be slightly faster. So let's try that. So what is 5 times 4? 5 times 4 is 20. So we're going to write 20 here. Now, for our next one, we have 3 times 4. But it's not 3, right? It's essentially saying 30 times 4. So what's 30 times 4? 120. Awesome. Now let's add this up together because we've went through all of our digits. So what's 120 plus 20? It's going to be 140, right? And that is our answer. So if we're going to write this out with our labels, because we need to label our word problems, we are going to say that the bike costs, because we're answering the question, how much does the bike cost? The bike costs $140, and we need to put a dollar sign because that is our label, right? So just like that, that is going to be our final answer. Perfect job, guys. You have applied this to a word problem, and you did a super great job with that. Let's move on. Here's our discussion question for today. What similarities and differences do you see between the place value and the partial products method? Go ahead and pause the video and write down 2 similarities and 2 differences that you see. And then once you're done, we're going to go over some answers. Hi guys, welcome back. So let's talk about the similarities and differences that you see between the 2 methods. So a difference that you can see is the way that they're represented, right? In our place value mat, you draw out the place value mat and then you draw out the shapes in each of the columns. In our partial products method, you're using only numbers. So we can say that the place value is more pictorial. It's more like illustrated, you're drawing pictures. And then the partial products method is only like numerical, so you're only using numbers. A similarity between them is you're going to get the same answer. You're working in the ones column, the tens column, the hundreds column, and so on. And you do the same thing in the place value mat. You add up the ones, you add up the tens, and that's how you get your answers. So those are some similarities and differences. There are definitely more, and I know that you guys wrote down some really great ones on your pieces of paper. Now here's an overview for today. Our objective was, I can use the place value mat alongside the partial products method to solve multiplication problems of up to 4-digit by 1-digit numbers. So remember, a 4-digit number is like 1,000, and a 3-digit number would be like 100, 2-digit number would be 10, and a 1-digit number would be 1. So we did problems that went all the way up to 4 digits. And you guys did a wonderful job with that. You practiced both the place value method and the partial products method. You learned how to use only partial products method. And then you learned how to apply this to a real world situation and a word problem. Anyways, super great job today, guys. And I hope that you all have a wonderful day.